Well, it's a very good afternoon from him, and of course, it's a very good afternoon from me. Hope you're well. Welcome to my last live stream of the year, because it's like the big day next Monday, isn't it? Next Monday, when we would normally do live stream, but I'm going to be probably cooking the turkey this time next week, or panicking in the kitchen, or whatever we're going to be doing prior to our big meal with big family. So looking forward to that, as everybody is, of course. So let's get on to our last topic area for you today. I want to take a look at pensions to start with. Then I've got this idea for you to take through to next year about being human, which is like the key to thing. I was watching Stephen Fry on the news this morning. Of course, he's very much against artificial intelligence, and everybody seems to think it's the end of the world. But we'll see how that pans out, shall we? Anyway, let's get on to our first topic. And I hope you're all right. I hope you're good. I hope everything's fine with you, and you got the run up to Christmas coming your way as well. Maybe you had your staff Christmas too. I don't know. I'm seeing them all over LinkedIn, every photograph. Wow, team here. And I keep seeing the phrase, as it teamwork makes the dream work. I wish people would get rid of that phrase. It's well overdone by now. So let's go over to our first topic then, which takes a look at pensions and auto enrolment. So let's head over there and we'll chat about that, shall we? So let's talk about auto enrolment here now, the current rules and the future, because things are changing under auto enrolment. Before we go into the detail, and you can read up the detail of these things, let's give you a bit of background, see where it helps and what it's about, and how maybe it affects mortgage advisors and mortgage brokers. Well, first of all, I remember when I was 21, which was a few years ago now, back in the mid-80s, and I got this letter from personnel department, as they used to call it then, saying, "Dear Mr. Archer, you are now joining the pension scheme." And I worked for the Building Society at the time, the Anglia. And at 21, I wanted to spend my money on other things, not pensions. But I had to join the company pension scheme. It was mandatory, and something like 5% of my salary was paid in a pension. I thought 21, it's like years away. I wanted to spend my money on going out and stuff like that. But anyway, I had no choice. But in a way, it kind of worked, because company pension schemes were mandatory to join. If you employed by a firm that had one, you had to join them. Now, that was all wiped out later on, and it became voluntary. And what they found, the government, is that many people weren't actually joining their pension scheme till maybe much later in life, when they started to worry about it. So the government introduced what they call auto enrolment. And it was introduced in 2012. So it's been around over 10 years now, and it's done all right, actually. It's been quite successful. They reckon that there's quite a few million people who are getting this pension, because it's a good thing to have this sort of money, isn't it? 11 million people, they reckon, have joined auto enrolment, including my son Lewis, who's 28. He was telling me at the weekend that he pays 5% of his salary in. He doesn't really know much about it, really. I said, "Do you know much about it?" He said, "No, I don't know much about it, Dad." Most of those people probably don't. Anyway, let's talk about what it's about. So you've got this auto enrolment. What it effectively means is that you have a pension scheme which the employer sets up with insurance companies, pension providers. They can use the nest, which quite a few do. About 990,000 or so companies have joined Nest, just under 1 million. So this Nest is the National Employment Savings Trust, Nest, which the government set up. It's a pension fund run effectively by the government. It's under trust, of course, and it's got a lot of money in there now. And of course, Rishi Sunak wants some of that money invested in sort of higher risk securities. But that's the nest itself. So you can set up a pension scheme, and what it is, your employees are not mandated, but kind of like led there to join it. So they have different types of employee. They have eligible people, eligible. Now, an eligible employee is somebody over the age of 22. So my son Lewis, of course, would come into this one, who's earning more than £10,000 salary, which is most people, really, because minimum wage on a 5-day week would be much, much more than that. So that's pretty most people. Now, these people are auto-enrolled in. So they're auto-enrolled. In other words, when they reach the age or whatever it is, they automatically get put into the pension. And because they're put into the pension, they have to put in some money themselves. And at one point, there's a minimum of 8%, but these figures are going to change as well. And the employer has to put in 3% of that 8%. There you go, 3% of the employer. Now, the idea is that's 3% of your salary. You put in, say, 5, and that money goes into your pension scheme with full tax relief and all the gizmos that go with pension investments. So that's pretty much what happened to me when I was 21. I put 5% of my salary in, and the employer, of course, matched that plus more, and that's the whole point of it. Now, employers, of course, have to do this. There's different rules for different sizes of employer, large, small, medium, SMEs. So that's eligible people. You also have non-eligible people, which is a bit of a daft way of putting it, really, because non-eligible people are the people who are not above. They're not those people. Now, non-eligible people, as you can probably imagine, are under 22 and less than £10,000. There's a figure of 6,240, between 6,240 and £10,000. That's these people. But again, you're talking minimum wage here. Obviously, minimum wage is slightly less. I get that, but you're not talking about a lot of money there for somebody earning that sort of figure. Now, non-eligible people can opt in if they want to, so they have the choice to opt in. That's the big difference, isn't it? These dudes are automatically enrolled, and they can opt out if they want to. They can, contact HR and come out of it. Very few do, but these people have to physically opt in. Now, people earning less than 6,2 are what they call, not non-entitled, and therefore, they can join if they want to, but there's very little choice for those people. So for your exams, for any question in an exam, you'll get questions around eligible and non-eligible people, won't you, when it comes to it. Now, what's happening to auto-enrolment? Well, the government, of course, have not changed these figures for quite a while. These salaries are way out of date now, aren't they? These salary figures, way out of date. The percentages, I don't think, have. I still think somebody putting in, say, 5% and the employer putting in 3% is perfectly acceptable if you do it at a young age. Okay, pensions experts would say you need to put more in, of course, but you have to look at a 22-year-old ain't going to be wanting to put more than 5% or so of their salary in, are they? And employers, of course, don't want to pay much more. Employers may have to be forced to pay more in the future. So what's happened is there's a new bill going through Parliament. I think it's received royal assent from the date of this video. By the time we watch this video, it may well be an act. Now, what the new act does, and we'll put it up there for the new one. There you go. What the new act does, cleverly, is just gives the Secretary of State the ability, at a whim, to change the percentages. It just gives them the power to do that. It's gone through Parliament. Nobody's going to disagree with this, are they? Any party's not going to disagree with this. So it gives them the ability at any time to change the percentages, the ages, the numbers, etc., at whim. They'll probably wait until after the election before they do that, because the government aren't going to rock the boat at this part of the election. So let's just be aware of that. So if you're doing the exam, just check the figures. You might get questions on those figures. But the whole concept, though, is it automatically enrolls people in. Now, the other one that's particularly interesting is the pension scheme that people put it into. Now, employers will go along to a specialist pensions advisory firm, basically an IFA on steroids, who will give advice, and they'll open up a group scheme, and everyone's got their own little pensions, which they put into under a group banner. But essentially, these are just personal pensions. Just make a note of that for you. Personal pension is literally something that people keep themselves. So personal pensions, people could take them along with them. And that's the whole point behind it, so people can sort of transport the pension along with them. The government are trying to make one pension pot, aren't they? So somebody has like several pensions in their working life. They're trying to make it so that they have one pot, but that's ever so complicated to do that. But the one that is interested is Nest, which is the government sponsored National Employment Trust, Savings Trust it stands for. It's run by trustees. It's properly done, of course. And it is a pension fund scheme that invests in money. Now, I've just picked up their website for you, which I thought was quite interesting, actually. I just wanted to share this with you, because I can click on that and take you to the website of these guys. Let's confirm that we want search to be better for us. Now, this is the website, as you can see, of Nest. You log in and such, see your account. Can't you see how much money you've got? Just talks to you about workplace pensions, your legal duties, etc. Why choose Nest? There we are. We make it easy to provide for your workers' future. There you go. All those things coming through. So it's a pretty good scheme, really, at the end of the day when it comes to it. That's your Nest pension. So There we are. That's just an update for you on auto enrolment and how this works out for you. Hope that's been useful. Bye. Okay, there we go. So a nice little section there for you on auto enrolment. Pensions, of course, are all change, aren't they? Obviously, mortgage advisors can't give advice on pensions. We know that, but you may well ask the question in your fact find, and the client will tell you, I'm paying this into my pension. It is obviously a mandatory expenditure, so it will be taken into account as part of their decision in principle for any mortgage that you're applying for. So you do need to be aware of that, which is interesting, isn't it? Now, let's go on to another topic for you, which I thought about a lot this year, which is ChatGPT and the rise of the robots. Now, of course, artificial intelligence has been around for donkey's years, really. It only became quite popular at turn of the year last year when ChatGPT was launched on the world. Of course, Google have got their Google Bard now, and there's plenty of what they call large language models. And the whole point about a large language model is that you can integrate it into your websites, into your apps, and people can talk to these large language models. And that's what's happening now. People are talking to chat boxes now, almost like they're human, because you can ask a question and they answer back. It's not like the old days when it was just pick an answer from a frequently asked questions. And that's affecting mortgage advisors, mortgage brokers, as more and more customers go direct to banks for information. They will get talking to chat bots. And I got thinking of a great record. It was The Killers, one of my favourite bands. In 2008, they issued Day and Age, the album in 2008, and it was the track "Are You Human," which is a brilliant track that Brandon Flowers wrote, and The Killers obviously performed it. And that's the message here, because as a human being, you are a human. As a robot, you're a robot. And when I go onto these chat boxes and I get typing in there my query, I always ask, "Are you human?" The chat box doesn't really know how to handle that. Really, they usually say, "My name is Artie," or whatever it is, or "My name is Fiona," or whatever they call themselves nowadays, because they aren't human. Now, artificial intelligence, of course, a large language model, knows more than you and always will do. It's swallowed the internet, so it knows every answer to every question. There's no doubt about it. So when you go on this chat box and you start typing in your information that you want, and they type back, and you answer another question, they're learning, and they become quite clever in the way that they respond, and they can give you factual information. Something like Bard, of course, is up to date. It might be a large language model that the company has bought and then fed it all its data. So take, for example, Tesco's, the place where we shop as well. They've got tons of data, haven't they? If you've got a club card with Tesco's, they probably know all about your life, everything you ever buy. So they feed all that data into their large language model, and their chat box is pretty intelligent, but it's not human. You see, the problem that we all have is that we inherently distrust robots, or artificial intelligence, call it what you like. It's not, I am a robot. We inherently distrust them. You don't trust a robot. You might believe what they tell you and take the information, but you don't trust them implicitly as a thing. So as humans, we need to put that point across, of course. We need to make sure that customers know that we are human and we are to be trusted. But you have to earn the trust, of course you do. So how do you show customers then that you are human? Well, there's loads of things you can do here. I call it turning up the heat. So how can you tell them you're human, that you are trustworthy? There's a bit of work to do there, but the first thing you need to do is to make them aware that you are a human. You're talking to a human here. Make the point. It's a bit obvious, of course it is. But some customers are so used to dealing with chat boxes and large language models that they don't see the difference. But make sure they know that you are a human and you have access to AI to help you in your job. Of course you do, and you're highly intelligent and qualified, etc. So you are human. Now the next one then is empathy. Empathy. You need to have empathic qualities. You need to be able to walk in people's shoes, to understand them, to appreciate their point of view. to be able to see what they're up to, see their challenges. Empathy is a huge topic area. Empaths, a great Star Trek fan, The Next Generation, they have an empath who's half human, half alien, not robot. And she is able to read people's minds, understand what they're thinking. They've also got a robot called Data, who's purely robot. So an interesting combination there, isn't it? Now, the second E stands for expertise. Now, an AI chat box will always have more expertise than you. I don't care how many exams you pass or what you know. I mean, I've been in the industry 40 years, passed dozens of exams. AI will always know more than me. I can't be known to know everything, but I use AI to help me to remember what to remember or what to refer to. I use AI to help me do all sorts of things because it always knows more. But my expertise is different. Your expertise is different as a financial advisor. You're able to apply knowledge to a client's given circumstances. AI can do that too. Of course it can. Just feed in a fact find, AI can do that as well. But we're able to communicate it to our customers in ways in which they understand because we have that empathy. So expertise is not just knowledge. I mean, I go on seminars sometimes and you've got somebody doing a presentation at the front which is technical and you get some bright spark at the back of the audience. Oh, no, you're wrong. Please to tell the presenter that they're wrong. Now, that's not expertise. That's just knowledge retention. Expertise in the future is very different to that. It's about communicating. It's about being able to put information across to people. It's understanding people's situations, understanding and relating it all as well. That's true expertise. So make sure you show the customer that you have that expertise. And the last one is, I think, the big one, and that's transparency. Transparency. You've got to show your intentions to your customers. They got to know what you're about, what your ethics are, what your morals are. You've got to be completely transparent with them as to what you intend to do and will do or won't do, how you work, how you operate, what your beliefs and values are. Transparency. What are your intentions with them? Make them crystal clear of that. It comes down to how you portray your fees, how you talk about your sales process. You've got to be completely transparent. So I call it turning up the heat. I know that's not the right spelling of heat, but it'll do for me. And that allows you to convince your customer that you are human and you are trustworthy, and customers will trust you. When they start to trust you, then of course you will always be able to do business. Using AI to help you, you won't lose business to AI. And that comes from the Killers track, Are You Human? Of course, Brandon Flowers spoke, Are You Human or Are You Dancer? And if you want to Google that, Are You Dancer? I think it refers to puppets. What he was telling us is we are puppets sometimes to computerization. We're being, controlled by AI. Now, he wrote that in 2008, so he's quite a futuristic kind of guy. And he's got a face for video and all those good things, Brandon Flowers. So it's a great, great band. So are you human or are you dancer? That's been useful. Bye. Alrighty. Let's just wrap up, shall we? Let's wrap up our slightly shorter live stream today, or podcast, whatever you're listening to on the system. Now, I hope, again, as always, you make sure that you log into our system. So I'll just give you the system that we've got here for you, so you know exactly where to go, because it's all about being able to do that, isn't it? So I'm going to log into the system for you, so to make sure that you've got that ability to do that. Here we go. Let's get in there for you so you can see that. Ta-da! Here you go. Let's get into our system here there for you. So there's the QR code that you can log into. Remember, there's a little comments box at the bottom which you can use to get onto our member database. We've got some exciting things coming up over 2024. Lots of things about becoming a financial advisor. I still think that's a big drive moving forward, actually, looking at becoming a financial advisor. We're going to be really looking at that with you next year. Not to become maybe a full-blown wealth manager, but to have all the permissions to give financial advice, so you can start to spread beyond just the mortgage and protection, maybe look at savings, pensions, that sort of thing with your clients. I think it's something to seriously think about doing if you want to be human and transparent and able to help all of your clients as you move forward into the next few years. So, as always, here's a little happy Christmas for you. There you go, from us all down here. to wish you a happy Christmas. Other than that, I'm going to hope that you have a fantastic Christmas. Enjoy yourselves, have fun, all those good things, and we'll see you next year.